All right, welcome back. So today we're going to go back to the normal, which is me looking at patterns and seeing what you guys are struggling with and talking about that. Yesterday's video was more me talking to myself because again, some of the best videos on this channel, you can't blame me. Some of the best videos on this channel that you guys absolutely love is when I talk to my past self because I can actually get a bit more vulnerable. That was yesterday's video, but today we're back to the status quo, which is me kind of putting a leash on some of you guys and saying, hey, you're not supposed to do stuff like this. And we're going to talk about certain patterns that I'm seeing with some of you guys and my clients where I'm like, yo, you can't be doing this. And certain misconceptions that I'm seeing with some of you guys. And so we're back to the status quo basically. And today's video is about the old story. How to get rid of the old story and what getting rid of the old story actually means. Because again, many of you, like I said, which I'm seeing patterns with, many of you believe that getting rid of the old story means getting rid of the 3D or like ignoring the 3D. It's not really what it's not really getting rid of the old story means. The 3D is physical, getting rid of the old story is mental, it is in your imagination. That is where getting rid of the old story is. And there are people who say things like, you don't need to get rid of the old story. And I'm here to tell you that those people are pretty low IQ lobotomites. Like straight up, you're like typical low IQ anti-Semite, like pretty low IQ people. Because at the end of the day, you have to get rid of the old story in order to manifest. Why? Because you manifest your dominant thoughts all the time. Whatever you dominantly assume about anything will be expressed and projected into the 3D. Does this mean you have to be 100% getting rid of the old story? Of course not. You manifest whatever your dominant assumption is, not whatever you think 100% of the time. It is what you dominantly think about. So if you have 10 thoughts a day, let's say you have 10 thoughts a day on money, you will manifest whatever you think 6 out of those 10 times because that's going to be your dominant natural state. So you don't have to literally get rid of the old story all the time. This isn't one of those things like, Game of Thrones where Jon Snow gets told by Aemon, kill the boy and let the man be born. This isn't me telling you kill the old story and let the new story be born. This isn't something like that. This is more pragmatic, more realistic. Neville talks about this a lot. He talks about, get rid of the old man. He uses different words, of course, because it comes from scripture and everything. But there is no getting rid of the old story completely. You don't need to do that. You also don't need to conflate that the 3D and the old story are identical. You don't need to do that either. We're going to talk about it in this video. But yeah, if you do want to have coaching with me, if you do want to have direct access to me in this group chat, it is the bottom link in the description below so I can understand your guys' circumstances better. If you do want me to, if you want direct help with me, possibly again in this group chat, it is the bottom link in the description below at school.com. You can buy the annual pack. You can also buy the monthly pack, whichever one suits you best. But it is at school.com, the bottom link in the description. And school for some reason is spelled with a K. Okay, I didn't make the rules. Don't blame me. I didn't create the website. Okay, school.com with a K for some reason. And it is the bottom link in the description. I highly recommend you get that so you can have possible direct access to me. But yeah, anyways, let's get into it. So when it comes to getting rid of the old story, you need to get rid of the old story in your imagination, in your head. That has nothing to do with the 3D. The 3D is the effect and it is 3-dimensional. You're here in the 3D world. Your physical body is here in the 3D world, but your imagination is the cause. If something is happening in your imagination, the physical realm only can reflect it. So like I always say when, in scripture, when Jesus says, I and the Father are one, he means Father, the imagination. The 3D is I, and it will always reflect no matter what. You are always one with the Father. You can't really get out of that. You will always be one with the Father. Father means imagination. So what can we do with that information? Well, what we can do is we can realize that if our imagination is dominantly assuming the new story and the old story is being you're dwelling in less and less. That is what it means. So when it means, destroy the old story, get rid of the old story, it means in your imagination. Now, how do you know this is working? How can you change it? Well, again, you don't do anything in the 3D at all. You don't pretend that things in the 3D don't exist. It's here, it's the 3D, it is the effect. What you do, rather, is in your imagination, you do inner conversations. You naturally answer people in your head, in your imagination with a new story. You can also imagine stuff in the physical world, but in your imagination. So if you are someone who is, texting your friend in your imagination, let's say you're in your imagination, you're texting your friend or you're having a phone call with a friend or something, and your friend asks you, hey, do you have your SP or do you have the money? The answer you give first is your dominant story. And your goal is to remove the old story. So what you want to do is you want to answer with the new story first. You understand? In your imagination, not in the 3D. The 3D is the fact. Like, just don't worry about the 3D. Who really cares about 3D, especially if your circumstances are not nearly as bad as someone who lives in like a war-torn country? Just in your imagination, think as if you already have it. Think of the new story. To go back into the Game of Thrones quote of Jon Snow talking to Aemon, and Aemon saying, kill the boy and let the man be born. You basically need to do that, but in your imagination, not the 3D. Okay? In your imagination, you need to destroy the old man, the old woman, or the boy, and let the man be born. Let the new story be born in your imagination. That is how you get rid of the old story. You force that new story into your head. And again, you can't really evade this. You can't avoid doing this because, again, a lot of people say things like, oh, I didn't need to kill the old story. I didn't need to kill the old man. I didn't need to let the man be born. Well, actually, you did do that, but you did a method where you just didn't know you were trying to kill the old story because, again, you have to destroy the old story if you want to manifest anything. You have to do that. It just happens naturally through whatever method you're using. You just don't know that. You just don't know that. You're just not aware of that. When you're doing robotic affirmations, you're still destroying the old story. You just don't recognize that you're doing it. You're still destroying the old story. In your imagination, you're still talking to yourself as if you already have it. So the old story is still being pushed down. It is being contained. And the new story is sprinkling out and flowering out. It is still happening. You just didn't know you were doing it. So when it comes to the old story, getting rid of the old story, it's not a method. It's kind of like states. You just have to do it. States is not a method. Getting rid of the old story is not a method. These are just things that you have to do. There are methods to get rid of the old story, and there are methods to create a new state. But these are not methods themselves. Getting rid of the old story is not a method. States is not a method. There's methods to do these things. And too many of you think, oh, I don't need to get rid of the old story. Well, you did anyways. You did get rid of the old story. You just didn't know that you were doing it. You're a walking lobotomite. Like anyone like me who really understands this, I'm like, when people say, oh, I'd have to get rid of the old story, I look at them and I'm like, well, it's cute that you think that. Like, I'll pat you on the head. It's cute that you think that, but I know how this works. You don't, and you still received your manifestation. That's fine. I'm not judging you. I'm not a judgmental person. I really don't care. But as someone who actually knows this stuff, and knows how the magic trick works, I know that you got rid of the old story. I'm happy that you got your manifestation. I just know how you did it, even though you yourself haven't done the math in your head yet. I have done the math in my head. But yeah, that's today's video. You do have to get rid of the old story. That doesn't mean you have to ignore the 3D. Getting rid of the old story simply means in your imagination you get rid of the old story. In your imagination, you'll react to things as the new you, as the new man, as the new Jon Snow, or whatever else, like the new woman, the new man, and the old person is gone. You do have to do that. You just don't know that you're doing it. But yeah, I think that's the end of today's video. I'm going to record my next video immediately after this because, again, I am pretty busy this summer. So the next video you're going to see tomorrow, I'm going to record that in like 5 seconds. But yeah, anyways, make sure to like and subscribe. If you do want coaching with me, if you do want to get in touch with me, direct access to me possibly in this group chat. Again, I do have to say the word possibly in there. It is the bottom link in the description down below. It's at school.com, school with the K, KKK, no, not KKK, K, school with the K. And yeah, the bottom link in the description down below. You can buy the annual pack, you can buy the monthly pack, whichever one suits you best. But yeah, school.com if you want to get in touch with me possibly in this group chat. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, bye.